I really love when you said that self-love is like a scale. What do you mean by a scale? Because we're not weighing our self-love on a scale.
Yeah, it's not physical, it's not tangible, and yet it's super real. I've heard my coaches forever say something to the effect of like, there's levels to this, whatever this is that we're kind of exploring. And to me, it's not like, do I love myself, do I not? But it's really like, how much do I love myself? It's a question, right? Where it kind of feels like it always invites us into finding different ways to love ourselves more. And to me, that doesn't feel, another analogy there is like, it's a mountain without a top, it's a road without an end. Like, there's always just more. Not from a place of like pressure or pushing or it has to be more or better, but like, there's always another level to finding ways to love yourself better.
I completely agree. I think that there's this almost like feeling that we all get from just our surroundings, other like society and other people, and these expectations where there's like this end that one day we're just gonna wake up and be like, oh my God, I love myself, or I love myself, and that's just not how it happens because we're forever changing, and things are going in a million different directions, and we don't know what the next day is going to bring. So how can we confidently get to this place?
And it's interesting with that, like, I'll be really honest with it. One of the ways that I've kind of seen that more deeply for myself is by judging other people who, like, I've
Mm-hmm.
watched, like, whether it's online or just sharing with me in real time, they'll judge a past version of themselves of like, well, now I figured it out. That version of me didn't have it figured out, but this one's got it. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, there's probably a version of you like 2 weeks down the road, 2 months down the road, 2 years down the road, 2 decades down the road, right? That's laughing at your current understanding of the world. Like it does, it just continuously evolves. And I don't necessarily, I fall into the trap too. I'm not perfect, but reminding myself like there's not a place to get to where things are magically better. Like for me, the more fun question is how can I enjoy this more, whatever this in my life seems to look like.
Yeah, and I love that so much because I think it's so incredibly important to be like, okay, I want to love myself more, not just love myself as I am right this second. It's like I want to love all of the different versions of myself. Who I was that 2 weeks ago when I thought I knew everything, the version
Yeah.
of myself now that is maybe struggling a little bit, and maybe that version of me 5 years ago that is just still trying to figure out some things or trying to figure out who you are as a person.
Yeah, and like that just doesn't change.
Yeah.
And actually, the relationship that I'm in now is incredible. I've been in relationships that have been less incredible, and I've actually noticed a fear pop up. Like
Hmm.
I am both the same me that I've always been, and I'm so different.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like the essence of you is the same, but also distinctly different. Where I'm like, oh man, I can see so many different relationships, so many different, even friendships, right? Like as people evolve, relationships evolve.
Hmm.
And with my fiance Chris, we get married in November. We actually have an agreement, like we put language to it for each other to say, like, we agree to love this and all future versions of each other. Like we're both gonna evolve in so many different ways. And like just to
Yeah.
like be present to like whatever that looks like and kind of choicefully choose, to care about those versions too, because who knows where this life is gonna bring us.
Yeah, and we don't even know who we're going to be tomorrow or five
Yeah.
minutes from now, or the life that we are going to be living. Like you said, like 2 weeks from now, we don't actually know. It's about committing to loving ourselves through whatever that might be.
Completely. And, some things feel easier than others,
Yep.
while also knowing, like, that kind of feels like the cool growth edge, though. Like, all right, can I love myself even when things are really hard?
Yeah. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Self Love Archives podcast. I am your self love bestie, Julia, and I am here with a really special guest. This is Christina. And Christina is a life coach, and I cannot wait to pick your brain today and learn about how you got to where you are through self love and your journey in helping others with their own journeys as well. That is such an incredible thing to have kind of like in the palms of your hand, and it's such an amazing thing to help people in climbing their own mountains essentially. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited for the conversation.
Absolutely.
And again, you'll hear me say this probably a couple times. I don't proclaim to have arrived or have made it or have all the secrets or the answers. All I know is what's kind of worked for me, and that I wouldn't say that it would necessarily work for somebody else. But I think just like the ongoing inquiry and exploration into like, okay, I could spend my whole life hating myself. And a lot of people kind of take that option, but instead to like actively and intentionally kind of create a different relationship with yourself, because when you stop and think about it, like this is the life you have, this is the body that you have, this is like it's you. You might as well learn to love it, because the other option just seems so dark.
Yeah. Really though. Oh, yeah.
There are so many people that I think really, they fight against it and struggle with it. And again, I have in my own way, but to be like, yeah, I'm gonna always look for different ways to bring more light into the relationship with myself. And I've seen it too. I'd be curious your experience with this. I've seen that every time I have found some ways to like deepen my relationship with myself, how gentle I am with myself, how kind I am with myself, how much magic or brilliance I see in myself. Like I can also see more of that in other people. Way more understanding, way more kind, way more patient. That it definitely goes back and forth. And I also see that when people are really kind to me, when people are really loving to me, like it's this just positive feedback cycle of like they teach me how to love me, I'm more patient with them. Like everybody just wins together.
I completely see that and completely agree too. I think as I started healing myself and started coming to this place of loving who I actually am, not who I am trying to be for the world, it it really changed my perspective on other people. It's as simply as this morning, I definitely did a little illegal K turn in the middle of the road. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but it's just the quicker way to get home rather than taking like 5,000 turns around and going the other way. And I had more than enough space, more than enough room to do this. And there was an older woman that got excruciatingly mad at me. Like through her window, she was like, "Oh my God!" Like, and I just waved at her and I said, "Thank you." And in that moment right there, I feel like we definitely have our bad days. There are bad days where I'm giving her the finger back or something like that. But I think most days I'm seeing that more, whether I'm the woman in the car, when someone just cut me off, or I'm the person doing the illegal K turn in the middle of the road. I notice that I have a lot more patience, and my first thought is like, oh, this person has somewhere to go. This person has something that they need to do. This person is making a K turn in the middle of the road because it's easier for her to get home that way. And I think in finding that kindness for yourself, you can find that kindness for other people and think whatever they're feeling and whatever's going on isn't actually towards you. It's more about what's going on in their own lives, whether they're being kind or unkind to you.
I love that you're bringing this in so early. I mean, I think one of my favorite things has been really seeing that for me. Like, even when I'm being angry about something, it
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with what's happening out there, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's just me being angry.
Yep.
Like this woman, similar to you, I remember probably 2 winters ago. It was dark here in New England. I was going for a walk. I go for a lot of walks to respond to client messages and just that sort of thing. And I walked across the street. Don't get me wrong, I was wearing like black leggings and a black puffy jacket, like with white shoes. And someone, I ran across the road really short. A car drove by and was pissed, like rolled down the window, like, I almost hit you. Like, that was so dangerous. And I was like, okay, one, you didn't. Two, yeah, I probably should have had some colors on or like some sort of thing. But it just highlighted to me like there are a lot of people that are just angry and they're always looking for a reason or an excuse to be angry.
Yeah.
And it has, like, it's not personal, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you can kind of depersonalize that, you kind of almost feel wildly empowered. Like,
Mm-hmm.
cool, the way people engage with me, this is not like an intellectual understanding. Like, it really has more to do with what's going on in their world. And you can be
Yeah.
curious and patient about it. To your point, we all have moments, right, that aren't our best, but
Mm-hmm.
I get to see that other people have a lot to do with them, and my reactions are, they're all me, whether I like them or not.
Yeah. And I think that if we were to fall into feeling what other people are feeling around us, especially in those more uncomfortable emotions like anger or sadness, if we fall into the trap, so to speak, to feel what other people are feeling, because there's a difference between like almost like giving in versus having empathy for someone. And I feel like the empathy part of it is the actual healing of ourselves, having empathy and understanding for um, this idea that whatever this person is feeling, especially those uncomfortable emotions, is all them, versus falling into the trap of this of getting angry because they got angry at us, or being sad because they're also sad. And there's such a strength in recognizing that too, and knowing that that's them. That's not me in this moment. That's them.
One of the biggest learnings that I had with Chris at the beginning of our relationship was it. Chris is like a gentle giant. Like, he's not an angry person by any means, but
Yeah.
like, he's human. He would get frustrated with things. He would get irritated. He would get angry at times, and
Mm-hmm.
like, I would be so reactionary to his emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not super proud to say it, but it'd be like, no, like, don't be that. Whereas when I could just let him be angry for a minute, or like let him be frustrated, it didn't impact me nearly as much. Like, I won, but when he was frustrated and I was frustrated that he was frustrated, one, I'm doing the same thing, and two, my experience is a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, learning to let people just be with whatever shows up for them, it feels like a superpower.
Yeah. I am definitely in the midst of learning that too. I think we think we're supposed to go into relationships completely healed or like loving ourselves. We need to go into a relationship when like our cup is filled or when we love ourselves. Like when we get to that imaginary point at the top of the mountain that doesn't exist. And we think, okay, we're healed, we're good, we can go into a relationship. But it almost it does not matter how healed you think you are or how much self love you have for yourself. That relationship, whether it be a friendship, a one on one relationship, bring a child into this world, whatever relationship it might be that you decide to go into or be a part of, that is going to touch at every single trigger that you might possibly have, because now here you are and you're changing things up kind of to the point of like you're never going to get to that that mountaintop, so to speak, that end, because it's forever changing. You're adding things in that are almost just making the, I don't like to visualize it as a path, but you're almost like adding things in that make the path longer, if you don't just enjoy like where you are and see what's around you and see it as a circle, not this long line, right? So back to what you were saying, like if there's any emotion that my boyfriend likes to put out there, or like it really he feels, I'm the sad girl, he's like the angry guy, and he's the kindest person ever, like has the kindest heart, and that's what really matters. But he gets angry at things I wouldn't imagine being angry at. And I notice a lot that it makes me angry. And I'm like, okay, we need to step back. Like, I'm not actually angry. I'm just angry that you're angry. And I need to let you feel your emotions, because you're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to feel all the things that you want to feel. But it does not have an effect on me. And he's not projecting it on me. He's just angry. And then I'm just in the way.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting. To your point, like, relationships are the most fertile soil for growing because they put a
Mm,
spotlight on all your stuff. Doesn't matter like how much work you've done. It
yep.
it is there and there for your taking.
Yeah. And I think when we can lean into that, that's where like that superpower comes from, where we feel so much stronger, not just in our relationship, but with ourselves as well, because we have the self awareness to recognize those things.
Yeah, like when people, lash out or have a moment, like I do that too.
Yeah.
So like, okay, you're human. Like I've got a lot of space for that.
Hmm. How do you hold space for yourself, your clients, your fiance when maybe reality doesn't look so motivated or productive or happy?
Oh, that's a cool question. And one that I feel like I've recently had like some understanding and perspective shift on. When I first started coaching, I would be lying if I didn't say that I put pressure on myself to like be the solution, right?
Mm,
Have people figure it out. If they come in with a challenge, they leave with an answer.
yeah.
And, the more I have seen, and I've been through some, am I allowed to swear on this podcast? Like I've been through some shit.
Go right ahead.
Like, you know, some of the lowest moments for me, some of the most challenging things that like, I probably wouldn't raise my hand or like voluntarily sign up to experience. I can
Hmm.
also see how much I grew through those things. Granted, that was choiceful. Like I took it on as an opportunity to be like, okay, what can I learn from this? But in those moments for me, when I can see everything that is in my life now, that was part of it.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't necessarily give it up. For example, I found coaching. I had back surgery in 2019 after a year of back pain in 2018. I hurt my back then. And, if you paid me to go back through like the physical and emotional anguish of like that injury, like I wouldn't be interested. But I found coaching through it, which I now do full time and professionally. And I love this field. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have known it existed. So when people show up and there's something going on for them, sometimes it's like a really simple thing and asking like, "Hey, what's most helpful for you right now?" And sometimes they don't know, and then I have to do my best, and I have to be okay with getting it wrong, right? If
Yeah.
I do get it wrong. But it's also just seeing, if I have a client who's in a really tough spot, and I work with people and they're really open with me about what's going on,
Hmm.
I also don't worry that they shouldn't be there.
Hmm.
Or I'm like, that's part of their process right now, and I get to walk through that with them too. So I think it's really not just, intellectually thinking that it's okay, but I've seen and lived for myself. Even those moments, they're where I was supposed to be in that moment. And so when that shows up for somebody else, I can invite them into something different. And if that's where they are, I really kind of believe that that's where they're supposed to be at the same time.
Yeah, because it's such an interesting paradox to look at something that may have been a struggle and really, really tough moment in our lives, and then to see why maybe like it really kind of depends on how you view it in the universe of things,
Yeah.
but really to see why you went through that thing to get to this that you're in now, and how all of the things are like interconnected and intertwined with each other, and how you might not be coaching if you did go through back surgery, or this person might not be, you know, with their dream partner because if they didn't go through this. And it's, you could play like a cause and effect kind of thing with yourself, and it's just, it's such an interesting paradox to look at something that may have been one of the toughest challenges in your life, but then see how it brought you to what you might be doing, or what and who you are now.
Yep. I mean, I've hit the burnout space where I got to learn a lot about my nervous system, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot about capacity. Again, really hard. I had ended a really long term relationship in my life. And I joke with people, one of the reasons I'm so good at relationship now is because I've been so bad at it in the past. I I know all the things to not do that create challenges in a relationship. Like, again, not proud of those things, but when you can see that like it's all just learning. You get to learn
Yeah.
from it, you get to apply it. While also, I think this is also really important, both as a coach and as a human being. Sometimes someone's sharing something with you and they're just like in it,
Mm-hmm.
and the last thing that they want to hear is like, oh, well, what could be the silver lining? Right? Like,
Oh. Mm-hmm.
like it's not just positive thinking, and there are things that happen where again it's like I kind of wish that hadn't happened, but it did. So
Yep.
I can't tell you the system or the filter for like when I just am with somebody in their pain and when I'm inviting them into like something different. It's kind of just like an intuitive thing for me, like a high level of discernment, how
Yep.
open I think they are, all those different pieces. But it's the same with me. Like I have to be willing to be okay with what's shown up in the moment while also knowing like there's always something else that's different and available to us.
That was one of the main things I took away from, after my dad had passed away. Everyone was like, it's gonna be okay. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fully irrevocably aware, especially everything that I've, been through, gone through, or that we've been through, gone through in life. I think we all know it's going to be okay. And I hope that we all know that it's going to be okay. But the last thing that we want to hear when we're in the thick of it, when we're deep in that hole that we need to climb out of, hey, it's going to be okay. Like, no, that is the worst thing that you can say to someone. I almost think it's better to say, what you're doing for your clients, which is just saying, hi, like, I'm here for you. I'm here to support you in whatever way you need. And here is some space that I can hold for you in whatever you're going through right now.
I'll never forget talking with my mom. My mom went through breast cancer treatment years ago. She's great now. And I remember she told me, she was talking with a neighbor just about what was going on. She didn't share openly and widely. And our neighbor just kind of looked at her and said, like, wow, that really sucks. She was like, it was my favorite response that I got through the entire process. Not the like, wow, you're so strong. Like, you can do it. You'll get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Not like any of that. Just like, yeah, that sucks. And it depends on the person, right? It
Of
depends on the
course.
circumstance. It depends on so many things. So being able to kind of hold both of those things kind of in that paradoxical nature that you were talking about feels really important.
Mm-hmm. It's it's actually kind of like the dark humor of these, maybe shitty things that we're going through. There's a special kind of person that you can actually say dark humor to about their own traumas. And I love dark humor. I think my dad would be dying laughing at some of the things that happen and that are said. Um, but I think it's actually even more funny than someone saying dark humor back to me, like about my dad, about the situation. I think it's actually even more funny when someone gets uncomfortable from hearing it. I'm like, it's really fine. Like,
And this is where it feels like know your audience is a really
yes,
important piece.
yes, know your audience. The discernment in this case is definitely something that needs to be built.
Okay, so this is actually interesting. I'd love to like kind of riff on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times in life where, again, maybe you think that someone's like open to it or ready for it, and you say it and they're just not. Like it lands so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I have built so much compassion for myself, and like I'm going to get things wrong in life.
Yes.
I'm going to say the wrong thing. People are going to be pissed. They're going to be upset. They're going to be unhappy. And I have no idea how it's going to land until sometimes it's out. So, like, kind of like testing the waters and like almost risking it in communication,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, can feel super scary. And I think a lot of people, because of that, try to keep it super safe all the time.
Yeah.
And this is something that I'm still like learning and working on all the time. But if you can be kind and gentle with yourself that like man I really was doing my best, like my intention was not to hurt that person, they
Yeah.
took it in a way that wasn't the way I intended it to be received, that stuff happens. And I
Yeah.
share it because like I give myself so much grace when it happens. I don't love it. I still have that like gut punch moment of like oh shit.
Yep.
And you make it right and you just keep going.
I mean, you're human, and we're all gonna make mistakes one way or another, say the wrong thing one way or another, and at the end of the day, we're not gonna relate to everything that someone is feeling or that someone is saying. I think that, if I think that at the base, at the foundation of that mistake or that thing that you wanted to communicate and say, as long as like we know that it's coming from a place of kindness and not malice, that's what matters, and that I think is the strength that allows us to get through the like discomfort of like, oh fuck, I said the wrong thing.
Totally. Like it's gonna happen. And the more I can be okay with that, right? So for example, like as a coach, I am human. I will make mistakes. I will get it wrong. So if I get it wrong with a client, right, something doesn't land or they're upset or whatever it may be, one, I'm always willing to look at my side of that to be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
where's the ownership that I can pull into that? And I always ask clients to like look at the ownership of where they can own some stuff too. Like we get to both learn together. But if I have someone in my life who doesn't let me get it wrong, the other thing that I know about them is that they also don't let themselves get it wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you, like I said, I let myself get it wrong. So when other people get it wrong, I'm like, yeah, that happens. Right? It made sense at the time. It, for example, like again, sharing about some of my own transformation. So I was a vegetarian for probably 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I lived with my ex and I was in that phase of my life, like I wouldn't even buy him meat or cook it for him, like none of that stuff. And it made so much sense to me at the time.
Yeah.
Like that way of thinking, it just naturally, like, no, why would I do that? And one, now I do eat meat again. Thank God, missed bacon. But the thing, like, in this process, Julia, like now in the morning, I'll be out for a run and Chris will be coming home from jujitsu or something. And I will literally run faster to be able to come home and make him breakfast before he has to go to work. Like, that never would have, it wouldn't have made sense to me before. I would have heard other people doing something like that and I would have judged them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and now I'm like, okay, now that makes sense to me. So I think just giving yourself the space like for your perspective to evolve, for like you as a person to
Yeah.
evolve, it will always do that.
You usually see this on social media where someone like makes a point to say that they don't like something and then they like take it back publicly for everyone to see and
Yes.
be like, "No, I actually do like that." And then everyone's in the comments hating on it and be like, "You said you didn't like that." And I look at this and I'm like, do people not understand that we are not always going to be the exact same person, and that maybe I didn't like olives 5 minutes ago and now, you know what, now I like olives and it's all fine.
And to me, this is the beautiful thing, right? Like when I can change my mind, I'm really okay with people changing their mind. But if
Mm-hmm.
I'm threatened by changing course or doing something different, somebody else doing that, I'm also going to judge, right? Like I shared with you, like I noticed for me how much I thought there was a place to arrive. And I learned about that because I was judging other people who were like putting that out on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, wait, I'm judging them because they think there's a place to arrive. And that's because I've also thought that. Like, you get to learn a lot when you start paying attention to the stuff that goes on up there.
Yeah, when you become so self-aware of what goes on in your brain day to day, it's so interesting. I think the past 2 days have been, I've actually had a lot of like anger come up for no reason. And I'm like, and every part of me, maybe it's the luteal phase. I'm in my luteal phase.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's because my period's coming. But all I want to do is just go downstairs and like pick a fight with my boyfriend for no reason, no reason at all. But instead of doing that, I'm like, and even if I do decide to do that, I want to be self-aware and reflect and be like, okay, what's actually happening here? Are you overwhelmed? Are you stressed? Is there something, going on that we can, give that's actually fueling this anger? Because you're not actually like angry at him for anything. Like, why do you want to go pick a fight? That's not gonna benefit you in any sort of way. So there's this strength in finding that self awareness, not just like with ourselves and healing ourselves, but I think with having that self awareness of how our what's around us affects us as well.
And what's really kind of fun with that, I have a sign back here. I don't know if you can see it in the video. It says create.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about kind of like creating with whatever shows up in the moment.
Yeah,
And
I love that.
there's a woman that I follow on Instagram who's been someone that's kind of, I've watched her evolution as like a coach, as a practitioner. Her
Mm-hmm.
name is Madeline Moon. And one of the things that she brings in is like a lot of creativity to relationships, right? Like when you're self-aware enough to catch yourself being like, I want to pick a fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like instead of doing it and doing it seriously, like is there a way to make that playful,
Mm-hmm.
right? To have enough self-awareness, right? To go to your partner and be like, I just want you to know that I'm angry today for no reason and I'm ready to fight about whatever you'd like to fight about, right? Like pick your battle and let's go to town. Like
Yeah.
that that's creativity, right? That's like
Mhm.
turning like this weird stuff that just shows up in your mind into something that's like fun and lighthearted and it can actually be like more connecting than driving some wedge that doesn't need to be there.
And that's usually what they say in relationships too, like just to, if you're in the middle of like a fight, which I do sometimes, and I sometimes feel like a genuine crazy person, but we'll be in like heated argument, or something will like be going on, and I'll just like a light switch. Well, can I have a hug? But I think that shift is really powerful and gets you to, like you said, connect more.
Self-love even for me is a lot about just being connected to you. Like,
Hmm.
am I aware of what I need? And sometimes I think that's the hardest thing when like I don't know what I need,
Hmm.
right? Because that's where you kind of set people up for failure who are trying to support you. It's like no matter what they do, like they might not be able to get it right because you have no clue. So finding ways to be like, okay, what do I do with that?
It's like a learning process too, because how are you going to figure out what you need if you don't try to figure out what you need?
Yeah, even for me, there was a couple of weeks ago, so much of my day is given to being present and listening to other people. And like I said, I love that. I think I have the coolest job in the whole world. And there's moments where I've asked Chris, like, hey, if you notice that I'm like distracted or I'm just kind of like stuck in my head, like, just bring me back to the present moment.
Hmm.
And a couple of weeks ago, I had a really busy week. My schedule's a little bit tighter than usual this summer. And, it was an evening, and Chris was like, hey, you feel a little distracted. Like, you want to join me here? And in an instant, he had done the thing I had asked him to do.
Hmm.
And I was pretty pissed off. And I was like, okay.
That's not the direction I thought you were going to go in.
Right. Like, he had done exactly what I had asked. And then I was like, okay, so why am I so pissed? And in an instant, Julia, I saw, like, I wasn't distracted in my head. I was actually, the first time in a while, I had had a free minute to myself to think about what had to be done in my own world, like, in my
Yeah.
life. So it felt like one other person that needed something from me.
Hmm.
And I literally told him, and again, this is a little bit of like mental gymnastics, but stay with me. I was like, naturally, the thing he hates more than anything in the world is like when he gets it wrong,
Hmm.
right? Like he feels bad. He's not trying to, he was trying to help.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, Chris, like, I also need you to hear, it took me a minute. I was like, I also need you to hear, I see that you were trying to help, right? You did exactly what I've asked you to do, and that usually helps. It's like, and in some way it was helpful because it wasn't until you asked me to do this that I realized I actually needed that.
Hmm.
So, like, by you getting it wrong, I got to learn what I needed, and what I needed was actually time to think about the things that had to be done in my world,
Yeah.
right? So to like be able to dance with that of like, no, that was helpful. Not in the way I was hoping it would be, but it highlighted to me exactly what I needed in that moment.
Hmm.
Uh, where it is like you get to learn about what you need as you go, and then like pull it with you forward.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. I had a similar thing happen recently. My boyfriend asked me if I needed help, or if there's any way that he could help with all these huge projects that I'm working on. And I kind of shut him down immediately and said no. And when I was on a walk a little bit, after I thought about it, and I was like, I don't need physical help right now, but I need support.
Yeah.
And I shared that with him. And I was like, I just need, you to support me and maybe help me more so, um, like organize my thoughts, or like let me just talk. Like, you don't need to fix anything. Like, let me just say my schedule out loud, and let me have you listen rather than me going to like voice note it to chat GPT. So he came to me, we were on a walk together, and I'm spewing absolutely all this information at him, and he goes to one thing that, like, I do not want to hear. It's the last thing I want to hear right now, but he was doing it from a place of support, and I ended up, you know, fault on me, like ripping him a new asshole. And he was just trying to help. But what he said, he's like, you don't have a lot of time. And I wanted to scream and be like, I know. Or he'll say things like, you need to get on that. And I'm like, I am. So, or like, you don't have a lot of time. And I think in those moments, he's just trying to be supportive and keep me aware. But I'm, coming from a place of like in my head, listing out everything, doing more than what one human could possibly actually do. And he's just kind of there to bring me back to reality and be like, that's a lot.
And I feel like this episode now needs to be dedicated to the partners that just let us talk. Like, it is the most supportive thing where it's like, I could probably talk to a wall and get the same benefit, but having like my person there somehow makes it better. They can like reflect
Just
stuff
having a
back to
physical
you.
presence there.
Yeah, it is. But those are the moments that are like, because it confronts you with parts of yourself when that happens,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, oh, I just freaked out at someone who's trying to help, and like I could see their heart in it, and like that just wasn't helpful. Uh,
Yeah.
it takes a lot to be able to like go for a walk and like own that though, and be like, okay, yeah, that wasn't my best. Let's try again.
Yep. To have like just someone that could hold that space for you. Like you said, like having you there to hold space for the clients that you do have, or having your fiance there to hold space for you and vice versa, and us all just holding space for other people where there's no fixing, there's no questioning. It's just, hey, here's some space. It's like, hey, here's a blank piece of paper, go at it. It's my blank piece of paper, but you can have it and you can write all over it.
Yeah, and I want to kind of bring in something that we had talked about before. Like when you're holding space for people, kind of what that means, and for me, it's just kind of like loving people. And
Yeah.
at the same time, it's bi-directional. Like you hear this thing, like you can only love other people as deeply as you love yourself. And I do believe that. Because I see, again, the more I see in myself, the more I can see in other people.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that I've been struggling and a coach has seen the best in me and continued to help me and remind me of who I am, like by being loved like that helps me to better love both me and other people. So like I don't think it's necessarily exclusively one or the other. I think both of those things dance together at like different stages of life and just
Yeah.
all kind of work together to be like, can we just bring more love into the world, period? Like more kindness, more understanding, better ability to have conversations and communicate. That's to me what it's all about.
Yeah, I love that so much. Is there something that you wish people would know more?
That's a huge question.
I'm sure it's a loaded question. You can think of a million things, but what might be the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about something that maybe you come across a lot that you're like, ah, I just wish you knew this.
Yeah, I really wish people understood that their experience, we kind of touched on it in different ways today, like it's generated by you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it feels like it's generated by the stuff outside of you,
Hmm.
right? Like when Chris doesn't help in the exact way that would be helpful for me in the moment, like it's up to me to create that experience as no, but he was still helpful because he highlighted to me what I actually needed by giving me what I didn't.
Hmm.
Right? Like the ownership and the responsibility of that to be on you. Uh, yeah, when you can really start to see and understand that your mind is the thing that creates your experience, you have a lot more impact and influence and responsibility over what you want to do with that than if you didn't really deeply understand that.
I love that. What's a tool that you wish that the people had more of, or a single tool that they knew of?
It's interesting. So I feel like the tool that I talk about the most point to, right? It's not like a physical, here's a worksheet, go do a worksheet. Um, but it's understanding your mind, right? Like when a lot of people I see kind of get into the space where like, I hate my mind. Like, it's always chirping, it's always saying things. But when you can shift from, being frustrated with like the internal talk and the dialogue that's running all the time
Hmm.
to getting curious about it, like actually seeking to understand it, to me, like that process will just provide insight that like just again shifts you from not eating meat and not even willing to entertain something different to like, hey, I bet I could run home early to cook crisp breakfast. Like
Hmm.
it starts just making you a kinder and gentler person.
So it's more understanding the tool of our minds.
Yeah, it's like a user manual, and most people don't read it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is the most powerful thing, the most powerful tool that any of us have access to, is to use our mind to better understand our experience and how that impacts our experience. And I'm fascinated by it. I love talking with people about it, and I don't claim to have, again, all the answers. I'm deepening my understanding, my knowledge around it all the time. But to give people the plant the seed that the more you can understand yourself and your mind and what it's doing, and that it's whatever it's doing is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think one of the things I love about podcasts, even like this one, is to be able to have people share their stories, to normalize this stuff. Like, I'm an exceptional coach, I'm an exceptional human being, and sometimes I freak out at my partner. Like, that stuff happens, and that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Thank you for that. That's wonderful. I'm definitely going to take that with me and maybe read a couple more manuals to my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So, to close out, I always like to have everyone answer a question from my upcoming card deck. So,
Ooh,
I'm launching a card deck called Love Yourself More, and this is really special because I actually just got the physical box for
congratulations.
it. Thank you. So rather than me, going on my iPad and finding a question for you, I can actually flip through the cards. So this is really fun. But basically, the Love Yourself More card deck is about going deeper with yourself. And I love the way to play it essentially is to ask yourself if you want to go deep, deeper, or deepest with yourself today. You would choose a category. So I'm going to have you choose a category, and then we're going to just pick a number, and I'm going to count to that card. There's 33 cards in each category. So, Christina, would you like to go deep, deeper, or deepest today?
I love being an extremist, so we're gonna go deepest.
Oh, I love it. And give me a number 1 through 33.
27.
27. This is actually a really interesting question. There's about one question in each section that is very rhetorical rather than more of a direct question. So, from the deepest category, the question is, do you actually know the answer, but you're not ready to accept it yet?
Okay, I love this question. And I would say, actually, probably for the first time in probably my life, I feel like I have a knowingness to a lot of the questions that are showing up. And I have been with some really big questions at different stages of my life. From, ending a long-term relationship. We were together for more than 7.5 years. And that, like, had I pulled that card then,
Yeah.
like, I would have been clear on, like, yeah, not ready.
Yep.
When I left my corporate job, same thing. And, I share often now, like, for me, that's always been present around relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And if anything, like, there's nothing there for me. It's just like, no, the couple of really large decisions that I've made in the last, say, year or so, I feel really grounded in. So it's actually a really cool reflection point to see how often the answer to that would have been like, yeah, I'm not ready to accept the answer for this.
Mm-hmm.
And how right now I'm actually in a spot where I'm like, I know the answer, I accept the answer, and I love the answer.
I love that. I love that so much. That's exactly how this question works and how a lot of the questions in the deck work. It's really to not confuse you, but allow you to question yourself. Because when we can't find the answer or a deep enough answer, the goal is to continue to ask yourself why until you really get a better understanding of your genuine, deepest truth for your response to the question. Thank you so much for being here and playing my card deck with me and for just sharing your insights on not just being a life coach, but just being a human.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me some space to also be human.
Of course.
Um, and I guess the last thing that I'll share is, anybody that is in this inquiry with you around what it looks like to love themselves more, like, they're on the right path.
I love that so much. And Christina, thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we end, please tell everybody where they can find you. What's the best place to find you, to book with you, to listen to your podcast?
Yes, so I have a podcast called Walking Towards Fear, WTF, fun acronym there. And, I am on Instagram at Christina Spin. I'm on Facebook, Christina Spinazola. I do a lot of sharing there, just a little bit longer than Instagram captions.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a website, just christinaspinazola.com. And I share this quite often. The way that I have built my business and continue to is through conversations with people. I'm always open to conversations. I'm not a fit for a coach for everybody, and not everybody is a fit for a client for me. But if these are topics that people are really asking questions around and looking to deepen their understanding with, one of my favorite things to do. So thank you for giving me this chance to share.
Of course, thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of